I believe that if you're very much passionate about your work and you are morally upright and you have good intentions, I don't think you have to put in a lot of efforts to build that relationship.
Hi, before we get to this week's podcast, I'd like to tell you that Automated Creative are releasing a book called How to Make It in Marketing, Volume 1. It is a collection of the best marketing career advice we've had from over 200 episodes of the Shiny New Object podcast. You'll hear from some of the biggest, brightest and best names in the industry telling you how to grow your career. You can reserve yourself a copy at this URL. So get your pens out. It's bit.ly, so bit.ly/make it in marketing. So that's bit.ly, bit.ly/make it in marketing. But the make it in marketing bit is in capital letters. So bit.ly/lowercase and the rest is make it in marketing uppercase. I think you should get your heads around that. And enjoy. It's a great read. Hello and welcome to the Shiny New Object podcast. My name is Tom Ollerton. I'm the founder of Automated Creative, and this is a weekly podcast where I get to interview really smart and lovely people from the industry about what they think the future of the industry is. So I am on a call today with Anju Chauhan, who is SVP Marketing at Yes Bank. Anju, for anyone who doesn't know who you are and what you do, can you give us a bit of an overview?
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Tom, for giving me this opportunity. I'm Anju, and I started my career in engineering. I'm an engineering graduate, worked with an IT company, and after that, I did my MBA in marketing. And after that, I worked with an NBFC and was handling marketing for their home loan product. Then I moved to a bank and I worked in treasury, in marketing support. Then I moved to product, where I handled product portfolio and new product launches for Forex card. That is ICICI Bank. And after that, I worked within a startup for 1.5 years, but during which there was this whole COVID scenario happened and the startups was not in a good shape. And then I moved again back to a bank, currently with Yes Bank. I am at SVP level in marketing. I lead product marketing for liability business of Yes Bank.
I don't know anything about Yes Bank. I know a bit more than these two, but could you help the audience understand more about Yes Bank? You will be so familiar.
So Yes Bank is India's among top 6 private banks. It is a fully commercial and retail bank. Earlier, the Yes Bank was focused more on corporate. Now, with the changing scenario, we are going more granular. We want to reach the depth of the nation in the rural areas of the nation. And through, mobilizing liabilities, which is basically the savings account and the fixed deposit, we want to grow as a strong bank, through which we can, mobilize our funds through loans and sell other products. Yes Bank currently is in a very good shape, wherein we are a fully fledged bank. We are offering different products to different segments of customers. And that's it, I guess.
Well, that, Anju, is no small feat to grow a bank in obviously a very complex and large market. So hopefully with this podcast, we'll get some sense of how you might approach that. But what I'd like to know is, in your very, very career, what are the bad recommendations that you've heard over the years where you're like, I don't agree with that?
Interesting question. Bad recommendations. I think a lot of people, in fact, have given me recommendation to, spend a lot of time on building relationships. I believe that if you're very much passionate about your work and you are morally upright and you have good intentions, I don't think you have to put in a lot of efforts to build that relationship, because when you work with people and when you learn with them and you give something to them, that relationship already gets built up. So investing or putting a lot of time on building relationship, and I feel that it's something which I believe it doesn't always, turn up into the expectations or gives you that results which you're expecting. This is what I think, because I honestly do not put a lot of efforts in building relationships, but I like to work with interesting people and I like to work as a team member and give my best. At the end of the day, you end up having a relationship with your colleagues and with your seniors and, of course, with your juniors.
I wasn't expecting you to say that. That's a lovely point of view. Could you give me an example of when you have put effort into a relationship and it wasn't worth it? And how you came to this realization?
Sure. So there are a lot of networking, events that happen, right? Where as a marketeer, you go and meet people. I have noticed that, you end up meeting a lot of people, you exchange a lot of cards, but at the end of the day, that relationship is not a solid relationship. When you work with people and when you work as a team, you learn a lot, and that itself, you don't have to invest additional time to it. You don't have to, constantly putting effort from your side. It has to be very natural. It has to be, of course, under, within the professional environment. But too much of, putting effort on that is something I believe is not needed.
So what is the best marketing tip that you share with your team most often?
Marketing tip which I would like to share. Actually, I believe that, knowing about the business is very important. When we talk about marketing, we always talk about 4 Ps and, of course, our segmentation and targeting and all these things. But knowing about the business, the product, what is the sales going on, knowing about how the product is performing in which market, the sales insight, along with the consumer insight is something is very much important. We generally focus on the communication, the consumer segment we are targeting, but knowing about the business is also very important. Sometimes the market, how the market is behaving, is the product market fit is already there. All these things is also something we should, as a marketeer, we should put a lot of our focus on, apart from the other deliverables which as a marketeer we have to deliver.
And why is that so important?
It's very much important because I have seen various scenarios where the team is constantly working on creating a new proposition, but they don't understand that market is also evolving. The consumers are also evolving. So when you compare your product with, of course, the direct and indirect competitors in the market, understanding your sales numbers, how they are fluctuating, the seasonality, the projections, all these things really helps to understand where exactly your product stands vis-a-vis other competitors' products. And all these insights comes directly from your, sales team and your product teams. And I think as a marketeer, we have to be very much in line and, work jointly with all these counterparts, all our counterparts in different teams, to understand how well and how best we can represent our product.
So, Anju, I just want to call out the fact that there's quite a lot of noise in the background. And can you explain to the audience why there's so many explosions going on?
Today is Republic Day, where our Constitution was, first time came into being. And it's 26th January and it is India's Republic Day and people are celebrating since morning. So that is a reason the celebration is still not ended, I believe. It's already 9:20 p.m. here.
This episode of the Shiny New Object podcast is brought to you in partnership with Madfest. Whether it's live in London or streamed online to the global marketing community, you can always expect a distinctive and daring blend of fast-paced content, startup innovation pitches, and unconventional entertainment from Madfest events. You'll find me causing trouble on stage, recording live versions of this podcast, and sharing a beer with the nicest and most influential people in marketing. Check it out at www.madfestlondon.com. Brilliant. Well, look, I don't want to keep you from any celebrations, but I do want to know about your shiny new object. So your shiny new object is consumer privacy. Very hot topic, very big problem for consumer, so for brands. Is it great for consumers? Who knows? So could you just give us an understanding of why consumer privacy is your shiny new object and why you think it represents the future of the industry?
So I believe that respecting consumer privacy is a shiny new object, is something which we all as a marketer should keep our eyes on, because considering the new GDPR rules coming up, India is also would be following the GDPR rules of the Eurozone, and there are many other regulations coming up to ensure the consumer privacy is not breached. At the same time, Google and other companies are talking about removing the third-party data, and then it becomes very, very, very important for us as a marketer to find a fine balance between, of course, reaching out to consumers, making our communication as personalized as possible, and targeting our consumer in the best possible way, at the same time not breaching their privacy. So considering that balance is something which, if a brand is able to achieve, they will be going to rule the markets, I believe, as far as consumer consumer service or delivering to their promises. A brand promise is there. So I believe that is why it becomes a shiny new object for me, because going forward, brands should really focus on respecting consumer privacy.
So what does that mean for someone in your position? So you've given me the big picture there. So what's going to change this year? How are you going to have to adapt? What will that mean in your work?
So if Google comes up with removing third, right now, of course, they have kind of postponed their decision of removing the third-party data and all these tools. What makes very important for us is the first-party data, the data which we collect from consumers. So then it becomes very much important as a marketer to reach out to our consumers and get the first-party data from them directly, rather than depending on third-party data. So then it becomes very much important and challenging for a marketer to continuously engage with the consumers and deliver them the content, of course, the services in the best possible way, through which the two-way communication always remains. So I believe as a marketer, it becomes then very challenging for us to make your services and your offerings in such a way that consumer is always coming back to you and giving their responses and feedback.
And so how do you think brands should approach the fact that the first-party data is going to be so much smaller than what was available previously?
For banks, of course, first-party data, since we are a bank, we have access to a lot of data, consumer data. Of course, it is very well protected. But we can personalize the offerings for our consumers based on their transaction data and all. But for other brands, especially for other products where consumer buys a product, not that frequently, then it becomes difficult. So various brands, they try to, engage consumer through different routes, through their content marketing, through their influencer marketing. They try to have that communication with their consumer, direct communication with their consumer.
How would you advise someone who is new to the space? Somebody who's maybe new to the industry or has moved into a role where consumer privacy is going to be massive, what advice would you give them? Where is the centers of knowledge that they should be paying attention to?
So that is a holy grail right now for all the marketeers. We are looking at ways to handle the situation, and that is the reason the whole decision of removing the third-party cookies and other parameters is being postponed. All the marketers are still grappling with this whole scenario. But at the end of the day, creating unique properties with which you can engage with the consumer becomes very important. At the same time, having a journey wherein a consumer, when is buying a product, goes through a journey, and automating that journey through personalized communication becomes very, very much important, which gives you a kind of a stickiness through which you can constantly communicate with the consumer. And when that communication channel is there, the feedback loop always remains. So I think that is a reason all the brands are trying to track all their consumers through their journeys, be it onboarding journey or a consumer lifecycle journey. That is a way where you can actually find out and identify the stage where the consumer is in their product lifecycle, in their own consumer lifecycle, and accordingly you can communicate, upsell or cross-sell your products.
So how much attention have you been paying to the Facebook court case or Meta court case, I should say, in Europe and in Ireland specifically? Because my read on that is that the future of the internet is just going to be like a kind of privacy first one, that every digital interaction you have, there will be a consent trigger, so that it will slow the whole thing down. But how do you think that brands are going to get around targeting in their consumers in a way that they won't be able to, that they've got in the way that historically they've been very used to, like target on Facebook, very easy, big benefit to that platform? It's going to change. It's going to massively change. So how do you think brands are going to get that? Let's not worry about the right message or the right time. How are they going to make sure they're getting ads in front of the right people?
So I'll just take a classic example of WhatsApp. So if you see the WhatsApp communication, the WhatsApp channel, which is currently we use in India, you have to take consent from consumer. So through all our means, through all our communication, we try to take consent, and only after that we are able to communicate or promote something on WhatsApp to our consumers. And WhatsApp has given great opportunities for businesses to increase their business, and at the same time ensuring the consumer privacy is maintained. So I think all the brands and of course social media channels, whether it's Facebook or Twitter or Insta for that matter, they will also follow similar kind of route. And we marketer have to be a little more intelligent in terms of what communication would be preferred by what kind of consumers. Once the consumer sees a value in that information, they definitely and would love to give their consent to receive the communication of similar kind.
And help me understand WhatsApp's role here, because I was in Singapore and I think I interacted with like 4 or 5 businesses within 3 days on WhatsApp at the hotel I was staying in, an event I was going to, and that certainly isn't a behavior that we see in Europe. Like, can you help me understand why WhatsApp is becoming such a prevalent channel in your region, where for some reason hasn't been taken up quite as well in Europe and America?
So WhatsApp, if you see the penetration of WhatsApp is very high in India. It's majorly because of the high penetration of mobile phones with internet. So in India, the number of internet users, if you see how they have increased, they were maximum number of more than 70 to 80% of users, they were mobile first. They never had a desktop before, and they directly moved to mobile. So when Reliance Jio came up with their free internet plan for a limited duration, everyone in India, especially those who were not using internet, they jumped into the bandwagon and they started using that service. After that, because of the stickiness of the product, they remained their customers. And that is the reason all these people for whom the mobile was their first device through which they access the internet, WhatsApp became their go-to channel for them, for communication, for interaction with their loved ones, at the same time doing transactions. Because yes, WhatsApp business is also something which is growing rapidly in India, where small businesses are doing their businesses through WhatsApp channel. All the brands in India, including banks and various FMCG products and various other brands, they for them WhatsApp channel is a very important channel. The reason for that is, if you talk about only the matrices, like open rate and click rate, WhatsApp gives you the highest open rate and highest click rate among all the channels, be it SMS, emailers, or any other channel, social media channels. And that is the reason WhatsApp is a very important channel for marketers. The other challenge where marketers were facing initially was because the reach of WhatsApp is very high in India. Everybody wants to communicate through WhatsApp. And that is when a challenge came wherein there was a lot of spamming happening. And then WhatsApp came up with this regulation that you have to take consent from customers. If you do not take consent, a customer can report you. And if a number is reported multiple times, there are chances that you lose that number through which you are communicating to the customer. So a brand or a marketer becomes very, very responsible for communicating to their consumers through the WhatsApp channel. And that is the reason WhatsApp is very, very famous and mostly used in India.
So unfortunately, we are at the end of the podcast now. So if someone wanted to get in touch with you to discuss consumer privacy, WhatsApp, or any of the other things we talked about tonight, where would you like them to get in touch with you and how would you like them to do it?
Yeah, so I think I am mostly on LinkedIn. I've taken a hiatus from Facebook and Insta for some time, but I'm there, available on LinkedIn.
And what makes a really good LinkedIn message to you?
Just say hi and refer my podcast. That is good enough.
Anju, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you very much.
Hi. Just before you go, I'd really appreciate it if you could take the time to write a review of the Shiny New Object podcast on Apple Podcasts or iTunes, whatever it's called these days, or whichever podcast provider you use. We're an indie podcast, so it would go a long way for us if you could just share the word and give us a bit of a support on those channels. That'd just be fantastic. If you haven't got time, that's also cool. And yeah, if you could tell your colleagues about the podcast, and also, if possible, don't forget to subscribe. And I'd love to hear your feedback. If you'd like to speak on the podcast or be a guest, or you think I'm asking the wrong questions, anything, I'd be super interested to hear what you think. So please email me at tom@automatedcreative.net. That's TOM at, I'm not going to bother spelling it. Anyway, you'll work it out. Thanks so much.